There's medical school, an internship, residency, and boom, I'm a radiologist. At some point during the 1990s, you visit her at her place of business and wow Lainey with the impressive adult you've become.
You just said Lainey. This is clearly your plan.
Do you like it?
I think it's half-baked and highly unlikely to succeed.
Can I get you a coffee, some water? We have protein bars.
I don't need an overexcited lapdog slobbering all over my client.
You're already working well together. We're thinking of merging our firms. I thought your son was your succession plan.
Found a cheese puff in my couch.
Go investigate your cheese puff caper somewhere else.
A whole new look and features are coming soon to the iPhone, but you can try them now. Next, Rich on Tech.
Monday at 5 a.m. Broadcasting across California with Nikki Lorenzo. This is Inside California Politics.
And glad you're with us this week. I'm Nikki Lorenzo in Sacramento. On the show today, big news in the race for California governor. Former Vice President Kamala Harris announcing she is not running for governor, but instead is releasing a book on the lessons she says she learned during her 107-day campaign for president. So later in the show, we're going to discuss what Harris not running means for the race, and could we see another Democrat potentially jump in. But I want to start with the congressional redistricting battle. A lot has happened this past week. Republicans in the Texas legislature unveiled their first drafts of the new congressional map in order to flip 5 seats from Democrat to Republican. Governor Newsom has vowed to respond if Texas followed through with its redistricting plan, which was proposed by President Trump. Newsom said California would do its own version to favor Democrats and has been talking with state lawmakers and the Attorney General about the process and what this would look like were it to happen. So on Thursday of this past week, Governor Newsom said he's looking at a potential special election date of November 4th for voters to decide if they do want to amend the redistricting process, taking it away from the independent commission, which was approved by voters in 2010. This wouldn't be just for 2026 in that election cycle. It'd also be for 2028 and 2030, and then go back to the commission after that. So here's what the governor had to say earlier this week.
I assure you this, I will not be part of this unless the people of the state of California have those maps. This is not going to be done in a back room. This is not going to be done by members of some private group or body. It's going to be given to the voters for their consideration in a very transparent way.
All right, so there's a little bit of what the governor had to say. There are 52 congressional districts in California, 9 of which are held by Republicans, and one of those Republicans is joining me right now, Congressman Kevin Kiley. Congressman Kiley, thanks for being with us. I want to ask you specifically because one of your colleagues, a Democrat, Eric Swalwell, targeted you on social media saying, bye-bye, Kevin Kiley. Here's part of this post on X and 5 other California Republicans. So let me just ask you right off the bat here, if this does come to fruition, are you concerned about losing your seat?
No, I'm not. And this is a good example of why California voters overwhelmingly said that we want to have the process of drawing district lines done not by politicians, but by an independent commission. Because you have there a politician saying, oh, we're going to defeat these people, not through actually having a free and fair election, but just by moving some lines around on a map. California voters very clearly said that's not the way it should be done. You know, voters should choose their representatives. Representatives shouldn't choose their voters. And so I think it's a pretty brazen scheme to say that we're going to go from having this independent commission established by California voters, set fair district lines every decade after the census, to suddenly short-circuiting that process, abolishing the commission, pushing them aside, undercutting the will of voters, and doing precisely what it is they said they didn't want to do anymore, which is to have politicians draw district lines. So at the end of the day, I think it's a pretty tough sell for the likes of Governor Newsom or Mr. Swalwell to convince voters to undo the very thing that they just did 15 years ago and put this power back in the hands of politicians. And for as far as my own seat goes, you know, I have a pretty clear record of getting support from Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I actually received the most votes of any Republican candidate in California history. So no matter what they do, if they try to throw a certain group of voters into my district or to alter the district lines, even if that were to happen, I think I'd have a good record to run on.
Okay, so he called a brazen scheme. So this all started because the president called on Texas to do some redistricting to favor Republicans. Is it a brazen scheme for Texas to do this?
Well, listen to what the governor is saying here. He's saying that what Texas is doing or some other state is doing is wrong, so therefore California should do it too. I think voters are going to say, wait a minute, why is it that two wrongs makes a right? Now, I want to be clear, I don't love what Texas is doing either, although there are some pretty key differences, which is number one, California voters have voted overwhelmingly to establish an independent commission to do our redistricting. And what the governor is trying to do is to then subvert the will of the voters to get rid of that commission so that he can do the process, he could have this power for himself again. But the second thing is that California is already pretty imbalanced in terms of our political representation. Right now, Republicans have fewer than 20% of the seats in the House, even though we get over 40% of the vote in statewide elections. Even if Texas goes through with its plans, the map that they have will actually still be more favorable towards Democrats than California's current map is towards Republicans. If the governor gets his way, what he wants to do is make it so we have 49 representatives from one party and 3 from another, 49 to 3. I think if you ask any California voter, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, anything, they would say, well, wait a minute, I think that's maybe a little too one-sided. I think our state, our democracy would be healthier if we had a little more balance, a little more checks and balances.
Have you voiced any concerns to President Trump about this?
I haven't spoken with the president about this. I have, certainly made my view clear that California has established an independent commission and that it is pretty outrageous to suddenly say we want this to be done by politicians again.
Anybody in the California delegation, in terms of your fellow Republicans, do they not like it?
Well, sure. I mean, I think that we issued a joint statement, all of us in the delegation,